Hello everyone, welcome to my lecture series of electromagnetic fields. We will discuss different theories, phenomena and numerical solution of different cases in this series. I hope this series will give a fruitful outcome to physics scholars or engineering students. So up to last part of this lecture series, we have seen the field intensity due to various configuration and charge distribution. Today in this video, we will discuss about electric flux density, and we will also discuss some important observation with the relationship of flux density with electric field intensity. So let us start. If a unit test charge is placed near a point charge, it experiences the force, and the direction of this force can be represented by the lines coming radially outwards from the positive charge. So as we know, the field around any point charge, so if we are having a point charge or say positive point charge over here, then these points are different position of point charges, which is +1 coulomb, fine, and these arrows represents the direction of force due to this consideration of positive point charge. So this kind of arrangement we can imagine around any kind of charge distribution, either it is point charge or line charge, surface charge, either it may be regular charge distribution or irregular charge distribution, but wherever some charge will be there in a physical existence, the effect of that charge around the region will be there, fine. Now these lines are called streamlines or say flux lines, and it gives the pictorial representation of distribution of field around the charge. So ultimately electric flux is nothing but a graphical representation of electric field. So for the very first time in 1837, Michael Faraday performed experiments on electric field, and he showed that the field around charge can be imagined in terms of line of force. So he suggested that electric field can be assumed to be composed of very small bunches of containing a fixed number of electric force lines. Now such bunch is called tube of flux, or total number of such tubes are called electric flux. So what basic idea of Michael Faraday was like, say the total number of lines of force in particular electric field is called electric flux. So this is how we can define electric flux, and the symbol for the flux is Greek alphabet psi. So as you can see, here is the symbol of electric flux. I have shown this the flux of different configuration of charges. So if we have two equal and opposite charges, then we will have the distribution of field, or we can say the flux line will arrange around the region of plus q and minus q in this manner. If we increase the amount of positive charge, so here I have increased the amount of positive charge by 2, so we have plus 2q positive charge and negative charge as minus q, then we will have the stronger field around this positive charge and comparatively weaker field around this negative charge. Say if we have equal charges separated by some finite distance, so we are having plus q charge and another plus q charge with some distance d, then the field will be like this, fine. Here this dashed line shows that on this line any test charge will experience zero force due to the charge configuration, fine. But the fundamental idea of electric flux that Michael Faraday had given us was that we can imagine the distribution of field in terms of number of force line, fine. So ultimately the number of force line are regarded as electric flux. Now what are the properties of these lines? So these lines, or say flux lines, always originates from positive charge and it always terminates on negative charge. If negative charge is absent, then it will terminate at infinity. Or in other case, if we say only the negative charge is present and no positive charge is there, then we can say that field line will originate from the infinity distance. Thirdly, in the region where number of lines are more, that wherever we are witnessing a crowding of lines, we can say the field is stronger in that region. The electric flux lines never intersect each other. See, whenever we are drawing a flux line, say for this configuration of plus Q and minus Q charge, we know that a field line will originate from positive charge and it will terminate to negative charge. Fine. Now suppose this statement is not true, then by using the law of contradiction, say we are having another field line which is intersecting this. So at this point of intersection, we get two direction of electric field. So as you can see, here we are getting two directions of electric field, which is not possible. Fine. And that is why we can say that electric flux line will never intersect each other. Okay. So with a simple explanation, having the use of law of contradiction, we can prove that electric flux line can never intersect each other. It is also very important property of flux. These lines are independent of medium where charge is placed. Now, if you remember the formula that we have derived for electric field intensity, so electric field intensity due to a point charge, it was K into Q upon distance square, and the direction was in the distance unit vector. Okay, where K is nothing but 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R square. Fine. So as you can see, this electric field is depending on the permittivity of the medium. Fine. But here the concept of electric flux was totally fictitious. Fine. Electric flux lines is nothing but a number of lines by which we are just representing the field. Fine. Now the selection of number of lines has nothing to do with the medium or say permittivity or any other property of the medium. So these lines or say flux lines are independent of medium where charge is placed. Fine. So if we are having a charge plus Q in the air and n number of lines are originating from this charge, fine, then if we put this charge in a water, then also n number of lines will be there. If we take out this charge from water and put it in a oil, then also number of field lines will be n. Fine. So this electric flux lines has nothing to do with the medium. Okay, but the electric field intensity is definitely depending on the field permittivity of the medium. Fine. Moving further, flux lines enter or leaves any surface in a normal direction only. Say this is not a rigid reality, but if any flux lines do not enter or leave surface in normal direction, then also the effect of such lines will only be considerable of normal component only. Fine. The tangential component will have no effect on any electrostatic phenomenon regarding this. We will discuss this once we reach to Gauss's law. Fine. But for this instance only, the important property to be remembered about electric flux lines is that it will always enter or leave in a normal direction. If the charge on any body is plus or minus q coulomb, then number of lines originating or terminating at the charge will be q. So this last statement defines how to calculate electric flux. Okay, so electric flux phi is nothing but Q. So whatever charge is there, the same will be the value of electric flux, and as the unit of charge is coulomb, the unit of flux, or say flux lines, will also be coulomb. Okay, so this last statement defines the flux for the purpose of calculation. Okay, now let us understand the flux density. So again we are having a configuration with plus Q and minus Q charge separated by some distance d. Actually this configuration is called as dipole. It is also called as electric dipole, in which equal and opposite charges are separated by some finite distance. So now consider these 2 point charges as shown in figure. The flux lines are originating from positive charge and terminating at negative charge. Okay, now let us imagine a small surface ds. So here, as you can see, a small surface ds is there with a direction normal to the span of this surface. So considering a unit surface area as shown in figure, the net flux passing through the unit surface area is called the electric flux density at that point. Now see, here also some lines will be there, and here as you can see, all lines are entering to this unit surface normally. Also lines are leaving this surface normally. Okay, as we have seen in previous slide when we are discussing the properties of electric flux. Okay, now it has a direction same as directional normal to the area. So we can say that here flux density is a vector quantity. Fine. So here we can see some lines, say 3 or 4 lines are passing through this surface. Fine. What is the charge over here? So here the charge is Q. Fine. And the unit surface area we have imagined. So Q by ds is called d bar, or say flux density. Say capital D is a symbol of electric flux density. Okay, now with this understanding, let us understand the electric flux density due to a point charge. Fine. But before doing so, let us understand that d bar is defined as d psi by ds. Fine. So here d psi is a small amount of flux and ds is a area. Fine. Here direction is shown as a n bar. A stands for unit vector and n stands for normal. Fine. So the direction of flux density will always be normal to the differential surface that we have imagined, and here the unit of flux is coulomb and unit of area is meter square. So the unit of flux density will be coulomb per meter square. So let us understand all these terms. So d psi is nothing but the flux lines crossing normal through the differential surface. ds is a differential surface area, and a n bar is a unit vector in the direction normal to the differential area. Okay, so this is also a very important formula to understand for the study of electrostatics or electromagnetism, both. Okay, moving further. So if we want to have the flux density due to a point charge, then here we have imagined a plus q point charge at the origin of any spherical coordinate system. Fine. Here x, y, z axes are also shown just to make you visualize where the things are. Okay, so here we are going to use the spherical coordinate system, because we know that the field due to positive charge will originate in 3 dimension outwards. Okay, so consider a point charge plus q placed on the center of an imaginary sphere of radius r. So here you can see the red sphere with radius r, which is completely imaginary. So d bar, or say flux density, is nothing but the total flux divided by the total surface area. Now the total surface area for spherical coordinate system, see here the surface, or say ds bar, is in the direction of radius. So the differential surface in the direction of radius can be written as so the direction is in the radius, so d theta and d phi will be the remaining component and r square sine theta will be the multiplier. If you want to find the total area, then we will double integrate, or we will take the surface integration of ds, which is nothing but the range of theta will be 0 to pi, the range of phi will be 0 to 2 pi, and r square sine theta d theta d phi ar bar. Fine. So performing this integration, will have s bar equals to 4 pi r square ar bar. Fine. And putting this total surface area S in this equation, then magnitude of flux density will be total flux I, which is nothing but the total charge. Fine. So here charge is plus q, so plus q will be in the numerator, and the total area that we have just calculated, which is 4 pi r square. So d bar can be written as q upon 4 pi r square. The direction of flux density will always be in the direction of field intensity. So as you can see, the field intensity is coming outward. Fine. So the direction of flux density will also be the same, which is in the direction of radius at any point. Okay, so it is very easy to find flux density due to different charge configuration. Okay, now we are going to derive an interesting relationship between E bar and D bar. We will also discuss the benefit of this relationship. So you can consider a point charge plus q placed on the center of an imaginary sphere of radius r. So this is the same imagination that we have just discussed. We have also discussed that d bar for this case will be plus q upon 4 pi r square ar bar. So direction of flux density will be in the direction of radius in spherical coordinate system. For E bar, we have already derived this equation in our previous video. You can refer that video if you want. Then E bar is equals to plus q divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 r square ar bar volt per meter or Newton per coulomb. Both are the units of field intensity. Now, if we take the ratio d bar divided by E bar, then we will have epsilon 0 only. Fine. And finally, and very short and sweet equation will be there, that is d bar equals to epsilon 0 E bar if the medium is air. But if we have a different medium, then we can also write a general equation, d bar is equals to epsilon 0 epsilon r E bar. Now what is the importance, or why this relationship is very interesting in study of electrostatic? Because we have derived many equation of field intensity. Say we have derived the intensity due to infinite line charge, infinite sheet charge, finite line charge, finite sheet charge, ring charge, discharge. Fine. We have already derived this equation of field intensity, and having the final result of those equations, we can directly find out the flux density in every cases using this equation, d bar is equals to epsilon E bar. And this is the application, or say the importance of this relationship, that we don't need to fully derive the equation for flux density. Fine. By only having a knowledge of intensity for any kind of charge distribution, we can directly find the flux density using this particular equation. Okay, and lastly, we are just going to discuss some important observations and summary of this lecture. Very first thing, the flux density and field intensity both act in the same direction. So we have seen the number of examples and number of cases already in this particular lecture, in which we can easily say that flux density and intensity both are in a very same direction. E bar and D bar, that is density and intensity, are related through the permittivity of the medium in which the charge is located. So I am talking about the equation that we have just shown. D bar is equals to epsilon E bar is the general form of this equation. Okay, so if the medium is air, then we can say D bar is equals to epsilon 0 E bar. If the medium is other than air, then we can say D bar is equals to epsilon 0 epsilon R E bar. Okay, then D bar is equals to epsilon 0 epsilon R E bar. This relationship is applicable for any charge distribution. So if you go for infinite line charge or finite line charge, ring charge, discharge, or say any other regular or irregular charge distribution, this relationship between flux density and field intensity will hold good. And lastly, the field intensity is a function of permittivity of the medium, while flux density is independent of the medium. So both the statements are very clear from its formula only, that E bar for any point charge is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught Q upon R square R caret volt per meter. So in this equation only you are seeing the epsilon 0, which is nothing but a property of a medium, which is called permittivity. So we can say that field intensity is a function of permittivity of the medium. When you write the formula of D bar, you will only have Q upon 4 pi R square R caret coulomb per meter square. So you do not have any term regarding the property of medium. Fine. So the field flux density is independent of the medium. So that's it for today. Thank you very much.